Welcome to this episode of the Sports Detective Podcast Show. My name is James Williams, and today Alabama is in crisis mode. As you guys know, Alabama, after getting a huge win against Georgia, took a major step back by losing at Vanderbilt the very next week. And former Alabama running back Mark Ingram has not been pleased with Alabama's performance over the past 6 quarters. And he said on the Triple Option Show, which is I guess it's a podcast that he does with Urban Meyer with Fox. He had this to say. I'll go ahead and show you guys this quote here from On 3. Former Alabama running back Mark Ingram says the Crimson Tide's defense is in crisis mode after its past 6 quarters. Bama's defense is in crisis mode right now. The last 6 quarters, 67 points, 784 yards. Opponents are converting third downs at a 54% rate. They've allowed 10 20-yard plays. Like you thought that the second half against Georgia thing might have just been Georgia, but no, that's truly who the defense is right now. Okay, so let's talk about this here because this is a very amazing turn of events that we've seen here for Alabama in literally a week's time. Alabama has one of the best wins in regular season history ever, beating Georgia. And then it's all of a sudden it's like, hey, we're going to be just fine without Nick Saban. Things are going great. And then all of a sudden, 7 days later, they lose to Vanderbilt and the sky is falling. The defense is terrible. Joel Klatt's going on TV saying that Kalen DeBoer is the new Lincoln Riley, where he's going to have these really good offenses and then terrible defenses. And I can't believe how everyone has done just such a huge 180 on Kalen DeBoer in just a week's time. And I am here to say on this episode here today, I'm going to say something that I have not really heard that many people say when we were talking about this Alabama's loss here to Vanderbilt. Is there a chance that Vanderbilt might actually be good? Let's go through it. I mean, Vanderbilt is averaging 37 points per game. They're 23rd in the country in points per game, and they played two top 10 teams in Alabama, Missouri, and then they also played Virginia Tech, an ACC team. A lot of the teams ahead of them in points per game are like Tennessee that have, played a bunch of like crappy teams and put like 80 up on them. They had a bye week prior to playing Alabama, and Alabama is coming off of, probably Alabama fans clue me in on this, was that the biggest regular season game in the history of Alabama football ever? You're playing Georgia, who had a 42-game regular season winning streak. The last active coach that Georgia beat prior to Kalen DeBoer doing it a few weeks ago was Tom Herman in the 2019 season. Is there a chance that this Vanderbilt team, that if they don't give up a touchdown with 15 seconds left to Georgia State in their third game of the season, their only loss right now would be, again, on the road against a top 10 Missouri team? I know Missouri got destroyed by Texas A&M last week, but they lost in overtime to that game. Like, the two losses that Vanderbilt had, they easily could have won if the ball bounces a few different ways. Now, am I saying that Vanderbilt is going to be a team that wins out for the rest of the regular season, goes 10-2, wins the SEC, and is in the college football playoff? No. But do I think this team is decent? Do I think this team could possibly win, best case scenario, 8 games this year? Yeah, I really like Diego Pavia. I really like a lot of the players on this Vanderbilt team. I like a lot of their offensive weapons. I think they can be, potentially upsetting somebody else later in the season. So I am taking the opinion here that this Alabama defense. Now, obviously, Alabama, your expectations, you don't lose to Vanderbilt. That is something that you don't do. Nick Saban would never do that. He never did that. I think the total points that he ever gave up against Vanderbilt his entire career at Alabama was like 16 points, I think was the stat I read. But if you're Alabama, yes, this is concerning that you gave up a bunch of points to Vanderbilt. It's concerning that, you let Georgia back in that game a few weeks ago, but I am not worried about this Alabama team whatsoever. I trust Kalen DeBoer. I trust that coaching staff. I trust the talent on the Alabama roster that they are going to figure this out, and I fully expect Alabama to finish off the regular season, go 11-1, and probably play in the SEC championship game and definitely make the college football playoff this year. I think Kalen DeBoer is still one of the best head coaches in the country, and I am not going to overreact to a loss at Vanderbilt like a lot of people are right now. So that is kind of like my thing going on here. But if you're looking at Alabama's schedule for the rest of this year, this is why I'm confident. They do actually have a little bit of a lighter, maybe you could say, SEC schedule. I know there is some tough games here, but South Carolina, at Tennessee, home against Missouri, at LSU. You have a bye week before that game, though. Mercer, at Oklahoma, who I don't know if that is that good, and then at home against Auburn, who I do not think is that good. I am not ready to give up on Kalen DeBoer. I am not ready to give up on Alabama. And I say that as someone that has been mother effing that team for as long as I've been a college football fan. They have been a thorn in my side. I have been rooting for their demise so much throughout my entire life. But if I'm looking at this honestly, if I'm looking at this objectively, I still think Alabama is a very good team. I still think they have some of the best talent in the country, and I think they'll be just fine. And again, you're coming off of maybe the biggest regular season win in program history, maybe one of the biggest regular season wins ever. This Georgia team that had won 42 straight regular season games. The last active coach that beat Kirby Smart was Tom Herman, because all the other losses were to Nick Saban, and then Dan Mullen got him once, I think is what it was. So, and maybe Jimbo Fisher got him or something too. But I'm not worried at all about this Alabama team. Vanderbilt had another extra week to prepare for this game. I think Alabama, coming off of the high of that huge win, a lot of emotions. There's a lot of stats that were telling people, like a lot of sharp bettors were saying, like, hey, bet Vanderbilt, because teams coming off of like huge, insanely big regular season games like Alabama, those teams typically underperform the next week after that. So people were saying take Vanderbilt with the points. So in a way, you feel like maybe this was something that we should have saw coming. Again, Vanderbilt scored 40 in that game. They gave up a pick six. Alabama gave up a pick six early in the game. And I think after that, things just kind of snowballed. And again, I think this Vanderbilt team is going to be going to a bowl this year, and Clark Lee's got that program headed in the right direction. So, again, Alabama, you're going to say, hey, we don't lose these games. Well, you did. I still think Kalen DeBoer is a good coach, and I don't think you have anything to worry about. So there you have it. That's going to do it for this episode here today. If you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Those are the best things that you can do to help support the show. It costs you absolutely $0. Feel free to check out the rest of the Sports Detective Podcast channel page to see if you might find other videos here that you might like. And thank you very much for watching. I'll talk to you next time.